person who started this network. I have the duty and also, of course, the pleasure to explain a little bit more. Linda has already introduced, now it's my turn to introduce. Linda and we are working together really very, very tightly in this work. So if you see me, you have to see Linda, and if you see Linda, you see me. I would be happier if we all sit in a circle, but I don't want to force you to do that now. I would be happier. I think I must have been born in some kind of context where you don't use chairs, because I'm absolutely despising chairs.
I'll sit on the floor if I can lean against it.
So I would like to welcome you also from my heart. I'm so moved that you are here. I'm so happy to see you. I have two hats. Linda and we have two hats, which is very important. We are researchers on our own behalf, and then we are the conveners of our network, which means that you do not have to believe, we do not want that you believe what we do as researchers. We want, as conveners, to invite you to find your own path in research. So we want to avoid to be dictatorial school builders, or we don't want to build an empire of humiliation studies, where we somehow dictate what you should think. We simply want to invite you to think on your own and find your own path and inspire you with the path we have found in this research. I think this is a good start to describe why we do this work, why we think it's so important. Just recently came out this global risks report that says an environmental storm and an economic storm are on collision course. Now, this is the time we live in. I think this is a good image for that. You see, it's in Australia, it's a wave with red sand in it, and the person who took the picture on the boat, in front of the wave, everything is normal. You think, oh, it's a very normal life and world, but there is a big, big threat coming. And some seconds later, the person on the boat will see nothing. It will be full of sand and water, and everything will have changed. So this is what we think the situation, the historical moment is we live in now. So we live in this situation, and what can we do in this situation? We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. I think this, for us, is very important. Therefore, we try to find new ways. And should we wait for politicians to solve our problems? Politicians' self-interest affects government economic policy. This is public choice theorist James Buchanan, who just died this year. And you have this very lovely, a bit long quote, which I will read to you from Fred Branfman, who says, "It is long past time to shed the illusion that electoral politics can rescue us from our self-oriented and rapacious elites, and to understand that the US and the world can only be saved if millions realize that they must engage in mass grassroots politics, not out of hopes for short-term results, but because they find they cannot live with themselves if they do not." I like this quote. And who are these masses who stand up? Where are they? Where are they standing up and understanding the situation? And we do like this quote from Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, this is the only thing that ever has." And this is the small group of thoughtful citizens who sit here just now. I think we are much more significant than the numbers might indicate. So our network, the Human Dignity and Humiliation Studies Network, whose idea evolved from 1997, re-evolved in 2001. Our first conference where we really got together was 2003. So we have 10 years of experience now. So we are this group of committed citizens. We try to develop it. You see here, Helena, you see yourself, Uli, Linda, Howard will come later. So we are about 1,000 invited people, 300 very top thinkers and scholars and practitioners on our Global Advisory Board. It's a very, very unique group of people that we have gathered. It's a group of people who are like-minded in that they want to walk their talk of dignity, also self-reflective. Walking one's talk means to know that one has blind spots, that one needs others to help. You know, if I humiliate you, you have to help me to see that. And you saw already Elita. She has been very, very close to Jean Baker Miller and has worked with relational cultural theory. And the message of this theory is that growth fostering relationships are central to human life and to human well-being and are a necessity for us to be human. So this is what we want to nurture here now. Growth fostering relationships. This is what she says. Focus on relationships first. On how we deal with each other, how we connect, how we reach out and hold each other's hands. We are a movement. We are not an organization. We are a movement. And in our movement there are many initiatives. This is one of our initiatives. We are about 1,000 members in our network, and all of those who have a guest room, we invite them to declare their home to be a dialogue home for our network. So we have up to many homes in the world where you as network members have your home. I don't have a house, I don't have an apartment anywhere in the world. My home are all these dialogue homes in the world. So I'm living in the global village in the dialogue homes of our globally. The other initiative is our World Dignity University initiative that Linda has already mentioned. We want to go back to the original meaning of the word university. Universitas Scholarium meant a community of scholars. We don't want to think of a university as an institution of brick and mortar that has fixed disciplines. We want to go back to the scholars and start a university from scholars, not from institutions. And we want to invite you to be part of this. It's an invitation to you into a fluid process of growth on a shared path with imagination and creativity for the common good and global stewardship by us all, the global street, by a global dignity movement. And how do we do? We start with, as Linda said, making brief video dialogues. This is kind of the first thing you can do if you want to contribute. Then you can contribute with a videotaped lecture. Uli is the master of the World Dignity University website. So he is the one you have to talk to if you have something. Let's say that a videotaped lecture would be the next step. And then it would be lovely if you could plan a course or a seminar or workshop for the world students on some topic related to dignity and humiliation. And you can plan seminars and workshops that are a combination of face-to-face and online. And then in that way you can help the library of ideas and themes to grow. And then we need some structure, of course. As I said, we don't start with a structure. We start with people, with you. But some structure we might need at some point. For example, many people want to write a PhD in dignity. So how should that be organized? Then some structure is needed. But we are not there yet. So welcome to that. So in this conference, we will try to make some of these video dialogues if you like. So dignity Attila said, it means appreciative approach goes beyond I agree, disagree. It's not the traditional academic debate. It's a very different approach. It's connected knowing, not separate knowing approach. And, Celia, I was discussing this sentence with you. Celia, she was in New York in our workshop now in December, and we were discussing the feedback we received. At the end, we will give you cards and we will invite you to give your feedback to us. And the feedback we got in New York of one person was the following. I encountered great speakers, purportedly doing great work, but then on an interpersonal level were quite rude and dominated small group discussions. It made me sad. So the appreciative approach means that, as I said before, that we help each other to be self-reflective. It's not easy. Everybody has blind spots. There's no perfection there. I'm guilty. Who am I? Since you have introduced each other to each other, this is my father. This is the Second World War. This is my father after the Second World War. I was 2 years old. There you see he has lost one arm. He has been displaced from his homeland. He has lost his family. He is so deeply traumatized until the day today. He has not, and also my mother, they have never come over the trauma of displacement and war. So I'm born into a family of displaced people, into the identity of here where we are. We are not at home, but there's no home for us to go to on this planet. We don't belong to humanity, we don't belong to the human family on this planet. This was my identity until about the age of 45. Very painful identity. So, therefore, I dedicate my life to never again. And when I see the global challenges that we have, then I ask, what must we do? What must we do? And what are the greatest obstacles? So this is what my entire life turns around, these questions. So if you were to want to dedicate your life to these questions, what would you do? What would your education be? What is an education to that? So my education was to start living globally at the age of 20. I have now lived globally without a fixed spot 40 years. So I have lived on all continents. I have tried to acquire a profound feeling, gut feeling for all cultures on this planet, all families of languages. So I have to try to get a feel of what are we as a human species about. How do we, what are our extremes? What can we do in love or in hatred? What is our spectrum? How do we solve conflicts? What do we have as cultural material on this planet with which we can solve our problems, and where are the hindrances? And to my, I think I started with work on humiliation when I was, it started or I saw that in 1996. My question to myself was, if we have global challenges that we as a human family together have to tackle and face, what is the strongest obstacle, hindrance to us cooperating on our global challenges? And my intuitive response was humiliation. Dynamics of humiliation create risks. If I humiliate you, you do not want to be with me anymore, you do not want to cooperate with me anymore. So if we humiliate each other, there is no cooperation anymore. So this is my life path in short. I did my doctoral dissertation in psychology in Rwanda and Somalia on the background of Nazi Germany. And my question was, in Africa, look, if you see Europe after the First World War, the so-called peace treaties humiliated Germany intentionally to make it harmless, the Versailles treaties. And as we all know, it did not make Germany harmless. It made it more dangerous. Hitler started World War II precisely to undo, to remedy national humiliation from the defeat of the First World War. So the Second World War is in a response to humiliation. And after the Second World War, Germany was not humiliated again. The Marshall Plan came, Germany was embedded as a respected member in the European family, and what was the result? Peace. So humiliation in Europe, in history, led to war, and respect led to peace. So my question in Rwanda and in Somalia, is there anything like that happening in Africa today, and if yes, how? So this was my dissertation in social psychology, and I defended it, like Celia will soon, I defended it at the University in Oslo in 2001. And there I coined the word that feelings of humiliation are the nuclear bomb of the emotions. They're much more, they are the weapon of mass destruction. And the humiliated minds are the true weapons of mass destruction. In Rwanda you see it because it was a very cost-effective genocide. The people who instigated this genocide, they did not need to buy any weapons. They simply needed to infect the minds of the people in Rwanda with the narrative of humiliation and the so-called solution, as Hitler also called it, solution, to prevent future humiliation from a certain group, here the Tutsis, in Germany the Jews, to prevent future humiliation from a certain group by killing them all. Genocide as a prevention of future fear and humiliation. Very cost effective if you have this narrative going, because then everybody had these machetes at home. You didn't need to buy anything, just a radio station to disseminate this propaganda was enough. And then almost 1 million people died in a very few weeks. Just by getting these feelings going. So my conclusion after my fieldwork for my doctorate was that dynamics of humiliation lead to rifts. And it might be that it's very benign rifts, just you have my culture and you have I have my culture, you have another culture. Like in Germany, you see now people walk around with a t-shirt, I want the wall back. Because West Germans have humiliated East Germans when they unified, so-called unified. It was not a unification, it was a humiliation of the East Germans. So East Germans said, thank you very much, now we don't want to be part of you anymore, let's have the wall back. So you could say this is at least, more or less benign cultural difference, but it can also lead to genocide and war. It can break down international relations, intergroup relations, interpersonal relations, intrapersonal relations, and our relations with our ecosphere. So it is very transdisciplinary. You see, it goes from the microsphere, it goes from the people, individuals together, even with, in me, I can humiliate myself even, wittingly or unwittingly, up to the macro level of political science, of history, of philosophy, it is a transdisciplinary phenomenon and a field of analysis. I wrote 4 books. The first one, 2006, Making Enemies, Humiliation and International Conflict. It was very instructive to see that no publisher wanted to publish a book with the word humiliation in the title. It took me 3 years to find a publisher, Prager, in the United States. And when this book came out in the United States, every year the 500 best academic publications get an award. And this book was awarded this award in 2007. So first, nobody wanted the word, and when it came out, it was awarded as one of the best academic publications in the United States. It was an American publisher. So the next book is Emotional Conflict. The next book is Gender, Humiliation, and Global Security. And the next book is Dignity and Dignity Economy. And you see that book up here. It was the first book Uli and I did together in Dignity Press, because I had detected here, after having published 3 books in the American academic context, that this context is so undignifying and so undignified. I can no longer publish books on dignity in such an undignified publishing context. So therefore, we started our own Dignity Press, which is not profit-oriented. And I will send you, if you want to, all the books as PDF files. Of course, I can be sued. I shouldn't say that, obviously, on the video. I will give you this as a review copy, But this I can give you as a gift, if you like. So, what is the solution? What should we do? What do I think? 40 years of global experience now. I have really taught myself what we are, to have a feel of what we are on this planet, we human beings. And I think it is important to get a bird's eye perspective. So I start like an astronaut now. I want to invite you to travel with me and look at the planet from afar. Or like a bird. Please come with me and look at this planet like a bird. And see where we come from. We, the modern humans, as we have a body and mind and psyche that we have now, are on this planet since about 200,000 years, 150,000 years, 200,000 years. And we started out, as you know, in Africa. And at some point we started to populate. We went first along the side of the shores here. And at some point there was a bottleneck. There was Mount Toba exploding, and here India was under a cloud. So there were bottlenecks. So it seems that we all come from about, there are different numbers, 1,000 couples perhaps, or less, all of us. And we populated the entire planet. You see here it's Bradshaw Foundation. It's a lovely depiction of how we evolved from our beginning in Africa. It's played out in a lovely way. So if you go to Bradshaw Foundation journey, you can play it out. And you see it stops here about 12,000 years ago. So I agree with people who say everything before 12,000 years ago and everything after 12,000 years ago is completely different. The biggest, most significant transition or turning point in human history happened around 12,000 years ago. And everything before is different and everything after is different. There are different conditions, completely different setting within which we have to adapt as human beings. So normally, when we look about history, we think only of these past 12,000 years. And we think this is our history. But this is only 5% of our history. It's very, very, very little, very short. What is really significant is this time, where our bodies, our psyches, our social abilities, our needs evolve. Our way of eating evolved. For example, our bodies are not adapted to the agricultural products that we developed here. Therefore, we have diabetes, we have all these diseases because we basically are not adapted to agriculture and what it does, what it produces. So this is the so-called Neolithic revolution. It's the onset of agriculture. And I often, I have studied this a lot. And it's a huge discussion in anthropology and archaeology. Huge discussion. What happened here? There was a change of climate here. Why suddenly, almost everywhere on the planet, historically suddenly, agriculture came up. And the whole planet changed. So my short version of this is, here we started. We had a lot of space. And we didn't know that planet Earth is limited in its surface. We happily populated the entire planet. We happily went, whenever there was a group growing a bit bigger and there was a quarrel, fragmentation was the solution. One brother said, oh, I don't like my brother, I take my family to the next valley. There is enough wild food to gather there. By the way, people were gatherers, much less than hunters. So hunter-gatherer is a male-biased expression. It was much more gathering than hunting. And so fragmentation was the way, how we migrated and populated our planet. And, we could have told, imagine we would have lived 20,000 years ago. If we had lived, we could now travel to 20,000 years ago, we would tell the people, be careful, you cannot always expect that the next valley is untouched and there are no people there and you can find abundant wild food there. Be careful, planet Earth is a ball, a sphere, and it is limited in size. You will hit the moment where the next valley is taken by other people if you continue like that. At some point this will happen. And this happened around 12,000 years ago. It is called circumscription, the limit. Suddenly you are limited. You see, oh, here, the next valley is taken, I can't move, I'm limited. And what did we do as a human family? We knew how to plant already, to do agriculture, but we didn't need it. But at that moment, people started doing it. Intensification is the anthropological term. People couldn't move further, so they stayed and they got more out of the land where they were. Agriculture is intensification. With that came a completely new dynamic into our worlds, namely that if you plant and you want to harvest, you have to be afraid of your neighbor taking your harvest. You have to guard your harvest. Okay, so this is the onset of what political scientists call the security dilemma. So what happened throughout the past 10,000, 11,000 years, and of course, like in Scandinavia, this started only 3,000 years ago. So it's not that everywhere in the world it started 12,000 years ago. It started about that in China, in the Fertile Crescent, and in South America. But in other places, the Neolithic Revolution was much later. As soon after this Neolithic Revolution, war, systematic war, became the norm. Why? Because the security dilemma is a dilemma. Why? Because if I want to guard myself, I get some kind of fence or some weapons to defend myself, and the neighbor sees that and thinks, oh, he wants to conquer me. So the neighbor gets some more weapons, and I get afraid of the neighbor, and I get some more weapons. So it's an armament race that is almost inevitable. And as part of this race, there is war almost inevitable. And even the most peaceful leader could not avoid it. If you want peace, prepare for war. This was the motto of the past 12,000 years. Everywhere on this planet, and almost nobody could escape it, except some isolated islands or some isolated people who had, were isolated. So this is the past 10,000 years, and in the context of the security dilemma, hierarchical societies developed, so-called dominator societies. Rianne Eisler has coined this term, with a strong man at the top, the males being trained to defend the borders, and the women kept inside. So we have, if we say it very, very simplified, then we have two turning points in our human history. The first is about 12,000 years ago, and the second is now. We live in a turning point time that is as important as 12,000 years ago, as important today. This is my conclusion. We have new circumscriptions. 12,000 years ago, suddenly land was limited. Today we know water is limited, minerals are limited, oil is limited, even the air. I think soon they will bottle air and sell it to us. Yes, it will happen. So suddenly there are many circumscriptions, but we have knowledge. We have something that people 20,000 years ago didn't know. We have knowledge. We have the perspective of the astronaut. We have a lot of knowledge. And we have the awareness that we are one family on a tiny, very fragile planet. This we have. So we can see now that intensification is not sustainable in a finite world. What we learned 12,000 years ago, intensification, if we maximize it, we will not survive. If we use the same adaptation we used 12,000 years ago, we will not survive. We have to use another adaptation now. At the moment, we do it wrong. 1757 is a very interesting year in history for humiliation. In 1757, in the English language, but it was also in other languages, but now the English language, in the Oxford Encyclopedia, for the first time, the verb to humiliate was explained as meaning to violate somebody's dignity. Before that, to violate somebody's dignity. In all my writing, I have that. It's before 1757. To humiliate and to humble was seen as pro-social, as the same. I keep a lowly person in her lowly place. To humble, to humiliate was the same. And it was seen as pro-social. You have to beat your wife as a father of the family. You have to keep your employees down by humiliating them. This was your duty even. And in 1757, in the English language, for the first time, something that had been seen as pro-social in the past became antisocial. The meaning of the verb to humiliate changed a U-turn, a U-turn. The meaning of humility stayed pro-social. So humility and humiliation separated in 1757 in the English language. Of course before, but it became visible in the encyclopedia. So we are in this is the, parallel to 12,000 years ago. We live in the same kind of deep change time, and 1757 is one marker for that. And it led to basically the Human Rights Declaration, where we say every human being is born free and equal in dignity and rights. This is a sentence that would not have been possible before 1757 in the English language, because everybody was then born unequal in dignity and rights. And it was seen as divinely ordained, as nature's law, that there is inequality. So the Human Rights Declaration is another marker that there is we live in profound times of change, profound change, like a normative U-turn against the past 10,000 and 12,000 years, as if we turn against what we learned there. So we have the first 95% of our history. We were spreading out on our planet. We expanded horizontally because there was, we didn't know that the planet Earth is limited in size. 10,000, 12,000 years ago, we were hit by the fact that there is limit, and we adapted with building dominator societies. You could say it's a vertical expansion. We build higher and higher, stratified hierarchical societies. And today we live here. We are here. And we have more circumscriptions. And what is it what we do? We maximize intensification. We maximize domination. We maximize what we learn here. And we will not survive. We have to think back here and think, what did we do here? How did we do that here? How did we maximize this adaptation? And why? And where do we find its manifestations? And how do we have to undo that in order to get there? We have to get into sustainable circles. We cannot do exponential growth on a finite planet. And is there a chance that we can achieve that? Yes. For the first time, we can understand that we are one family on a fragile planet. That, this image of the astronaut, imagine, our forefathers could not see that. It's a huge window of opportunity. People don't realize how new that is, that we can see our planet from outside. None of the philosophers we think we are great, they were great, but they didn't know that. So we have a window of opportunity to achieve these sustainable circles. We have a window of opportunity today that none of our forefathers had. So as I said, in the past millennia, most people lived in a context where if you want peace, prepare for war was the motto, inescapable. And then there were all kinds of cultural adaptations to that. Males learned that it's honorable to die in war by defending your people. If you were a peace activist in the First World War, you were a traitor. You were not patriotic. You couldn't be a peace activist in the First World War, for example. It was almost not possible. So this is the security dilemma, as I told you. This is the map of Europe in the 30 years of war. You see how fragmented it was. So as soon as you live in a fragmented world, you are delivered to the security dilemma. You cannot escape. And it leads to dominated societies pitted against each other. So the window of opportunity that we have now, if we grasp it, this is why we sit here. If we grasp it, then we can manifest. We have the space now to manifest what Gandhi said, there is no path to peace. Peace is the path. Or what Martin Luther King said, the choice is not between violence and non-violence, but between non-violence and non-existence. And this is because as soon as we live on an interdependent planet, as we understand that, then we understand that this is true. But here in the 30 Years' War, it was true that you could win over your enemy. You still could win. There are examples that people really eradicated, killed their enemies, and it was possible. But in an interdependent world, it is no longer possible. It's suicide. And this is a new kind of situation we live in, and I see wherever I go in the world, this new situation that interdependence demands a completely new adaptation from us, that we cannot draw on the past. We cannot draw on the past. We have to develop something new. This people don't see. They don't see the revolutionary open window that we have now. The commons dilemma is another dilemma that only, to my view, is tackled, can be addressed by manifesting that we are one family and cooperating as one family. What is the commons dilemma? You know that the commons are like the grazing land in a village where all the farmers could put their cows collectively. And you know what happens if one farmer thinks, okay, I put one more cow, my cows will get fat, I have more cows getting fat. Then the other cows will get less fat. So their neighbors will come and say, no, you cannot just put one more cow as we have agreed. So there must be a kind of collective regulatory oversight. Otherwise it derails. If one person puts 10 more cows, soon the grass will be eaten and nothing, it will be destructive. The other, this is, the danger, the threat to the commons dilemma from within. That there is a threat to the commons dilemma from outside. Newcomers, they see it as a business opportunity. They just raid it. This is the world we live in today. All the commons of this world are currently raided from outside. So, the blessings of the commons, we can make that work. We can see our entire planet as our commons, the commons of the human family. This is what it is. The planet is our commons. And we have to guard it. And as soon as we understand that we are one family, there are no outside newcomers. We only have to regulate and make a good oversight system so that we all respect our commons. So, the fact that we have the knowledge and understanding that we are one family, if we manifest that, then we have an unprecedented window of opportunity. We, as one family, can overcome the security dilemma and the commons dilemma. And these two dilemmas are the ones that create all the problems we have. So we have certain important dates. 200,000 years ago, 150,000 years ago, we as modern humans emerged on this planet. About 12,000 years ago, we adapted with domination. In 1757, egalization, equal dignity. This is my word for equal dignity, because equal dignity is so long, so I coined the word egalization. And then 1980, we started to overuse our resources on planet Earth. We need now 3 to 6 planets if we want to sustain the use of resources we have now. As you know, we need more planets than we have. In 1980, we started with overusing our resources. In 1989, we have the end of the Cold War. We have the end of the last manifestation of the security dilemma, the last arms race. The end of it is 1989. It's the first one word, really possibility, open space for us to build one world. 2008, the collapse of market triumphalism, and now it's our task to overcome this systemic humiliation that we see globally. So, if this is the global village. This is the global village. You see the gap between rich and poor is very big. There are very, very few wealthy people at the top. About 6,000 people, some people say about 6,000 people sit at the top there and own us, the rest, and steer us. And this pyramid becomes starker and starker. And here it's the security dilemma. Now we are at the moment pushed into the security dilemma between people. the rat race, you could say, is a kind of insertion of the security dilemma philosophy into individual relationships. Everybody against everybody. This is where we live now. So our task is egalization, equal dignity, and I put it together, globalization. We have to humanize globalization through egalization. This is how I would say it. And I use this infinity symbol to signify unity in diversity. To me, this is the best motto for dignity and a dignified world. Unity in diversity means, and Celia, can you come? So, this is the infinity symbol, you see that? And if we are in a dialogue, if I'm with Celia in a dialogue like that, I do not crush her. I let her be like as she is, an independent, different person. There is diversity between us. But there is no difference, there is no division. We are connected. There is unity in diversity, in that way. So this is the symbol stands for that. It's not, it's not that. As we are all in a rat race now where we have that. And we have to change it into that. This is our task, who we sit here, to my group. And today we still haven't done it. The world is not yet there at all. Not yet there at all. To me, this is, all these hierarchical societies where humiliation is built in. To me, this is as humiliating as this. So in our world today, there is no dignity or not much dignity yet manifested. So this is not yet there. We haven't reached it yet. So we live in an unfinished liberation, unfinished. So when I was in the apartheid museum in Johannesburg now, I thought about that and I said, okay, apartheid. If this is apartheid, it's a trap. And I saw in this museum who, there were oppressors, and then there were inmates in the prisons and exiles. And in the middle there were informants, traitors, those who sold out. Okay? And then there was liberation, hurrah, now we have done it. And it's good, it's perfect. However, what has happened? It's a liberation in another trap. There is another trap, a more global trap there. It's a liberation into a new trap that is just a little bit bigger. And it has no easy name. Apartheid also was not an easy, it first was segregation, it sounded so good. We are now trapped in another trap, the global trap of freedom to maximize profit, where we all sell out our own long-term interests, wittingly or unwittingly, where we all are inmates. We all are inmates in the system. Exile is not possible. So what is the dominator model? This is the dominator model. People are seen as cogwheels in a big machinery. This is the rat race of today also. And then everybody is pushed into boxes. Trained first and then to fit into a box in this machinery. This is the dominator model, and we have it today, everywhere on the planet. And then the first step to liberation, this is what happened, when apartheid ended. There was, wow, now we have freedom. And now comes the big question, freedom. What is freedom? What is freedom? How do you define freedom? And freedom for whom and for what? Now what I see here is freedom to become the oppressor. A new oppressor. The freedom to use the system to become a new oppressor and find new oppressors. This is, I always think of India. When the British came to India and colonized it, there were Rajas, kings. And what did the British do? They co-opted them. Divide and rule. They left the privileges. They had good lives. And they did the humiliating work, the oppressing work for the British. So they were co-opted. So they were both colonized and colonizers. And this is what we are all today. We are both colonizers Also I am there, and colonized. Now, one example, if we are participants in this system, if I go in Europe to the shop and I see that the pineapples are very cheap, and I buy them, I think they're very cheap, very nutritious, very good. What do I perpetrate in that moment? What do I perpetrate in that moment? I perpetrate monocultures in Costa Rica where people who work there are poisoned by the insecticides, pesticides that are not allowed in other countries. This is what I perpetrate simply by buying a pineapple or by buying an iPhone. I perpetrate genocidal killing in the Amazon rainforest or anywhere where there are rare earths that are needed to put into iPhones and computers. By simply buying them, I'm colonizing. And I bring other people into suffering. So this is the book there, Dignity Economy, it is up there. You can get it there. So, I think I like this one. When plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men living together in society, they create for themselves, in the course of time, a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. This is in 1800. I think this is what we are living in now. So, and we see it, it's plunder. Success now is defined as successful plunder. Somehow, you have this study in the UK that reveals that an elite banker who is earning £1 million plus bonuses destroys £7 of value for every pound he creates. While a hospital cleaner creates over £10 in value for every £1 he gets paid. So what is success? The banker is successful in destroying more than he gets. This is what we are living in. This is the definition of success we are living in now. So we are not at the moment hindering this wave, this economic and ecological storm to come. We are simply complicit in letting it come at the moment, as a human family, we on this planet. And nobody of us can really escape it. If we just buy an iPhone, we are already complicit. Okay, so, and is this a problem here? Is this a problem of Africa? No, it's global. It's global. So this is Norway. You think of Norway as, and it is a wonderful place, and I am extremely, connected to Norway. And I'm very worried when I see how also Norway is eaten up by that. Here you see, that the storm is invisible as long as you see just the lovely ocean around you. You don't see the storm coming, but the storm is coming. And now see what is happening in Norway, the lovely Norway. Here you have a wonderful Statelle. It is Statelle, Celia, on the Oslo fjord. A wonderful, lovely, white wooden houses. And what now? This is the shopping mall, the new shopping mall on top of it. Now here you see the colonization and how we are complicit. Also in Norway, everywhere. So I try to think through that. How do I then live? What do I have to do with my life? And I explain as follows. I feel personally humiliated when I am expected to draw my motivation for what makes my life meaningful from status or monetary remuneration. I am motivated by stature, not status. My pro-social contributions rather than status, social rank or class. I work very hard, day and night, 7 days a week. I receive neither traditional status nor salary for my efforts. My motivation is entirely independent from such rewards, and if it were otherwise, I would find the degradation and humiliation unbearable. Therefore, my path is not altruistic or egoistic, it is both, because I would not survive the humiliation of having to define myself as a status or salary-making machine that endangers the common good. I'm not a Pavlovian dog who needs status or monetary remuneration as incentives to work. I would not survive such emptiness of meaning and such poverty of spirit. So, this is an invitation also to you to use your creativity to undo, to get out of definitions of success, of freedom, everything, and define it anew. And there we have a lot of things, and you see here Howard Richards, his books are up there. He thinks through that since 30 years deeply. So he has 2 books there. This is one of the books, of his books. So, if we are complicit, continue to be complicit with this global plunder, then we perpetrate social and ecological deserts. We leave social and ecological deserts behind. Okay? This is here North Korea. You see, it's always the dominator elite exploiting the masses. Here it's Corumbá in Sao Paulo. You see the wealthy and the slum. It's the same thing. In another system, the same result. So what is the solution? Or, many people say, but the system works because it has lifted many people out of poverty, hasn't it? And do we really need panda bears? If biodiversity disappears, no problem. Or do we need people like Stephen Hawking, the physicist? If he were a Bangladeshi farmer, he would be dead. He is alive only because he has a wheelchair, he has technology helping him. This very famous physicist, Stephen Hawking. Do we really need to keep these people alive in the fight for the fittest? Only the fittest should survive, and we can dispense with them. So why do you cry foul? I cry foul. We can't do it. Why? Because we cannot live without the bees. Now the bees are dying. All around the world the bees are dying. If we have no bees anymore to pollinate, all our food will not be growing anymore. We will die out. Only because the bees die out of all the pesticides and the harmful ways they are kept. And we will die out if we don't harvest Ubuntu from Ubuntu, the best, and all Ubuntu-like philosophies around the world. If we don't harvest them and protect them and nurture and guard them, we will not survive. So what we need to do is, I call it dignism. I'm so tired of people fighting about socialism, communism, capitalism, all these words. It's basically markers for humiliation. It's markers for cycles of humiliation. Oh, you are a socialist. Oh, you are a capitalist. Nobody knows anymore what it means. Basically now it means plunder. And I'm tired of these cycles of humiliation connected to these words. And I think, why not find dignity and say dignism? And dignism, as I said to me, is manifested through unity in diversity. So dignism, a world where every newborn finds space and is nurtured to unfold their highest and best, embedded in a social context of loving appreciation and connection. A world where the carrying capacity of the planet guides the way in which everybody's basic needs can be met. A world where we are united in respecting human rights and celebrating diversity, where we prevent unity from being perverted into oppressive uniformity and keep diversity from sliding into hostile division. So, here we are. This is our time here. We can have 2 futures. At the moment, we are complicit in a future that will not let us survive on this planet as a human family. We are it's an exponential growth curve. When you hear on the news, we need growth to get jobs. It's an impossible situation. It's not possible. In this, because we need to satisfy investor confidence, we need to attract investors, because we need growth, because we need jobs. In the context of that, we are launched into this rat race where everybody is everybody's enemy. The security dilemma between every individual. This is not a dignified world. And we can do it because there is this window of opportunity. So let's get out of these boxes. Let's get out and get creativity going. Let's find a way to do that. Unity in diversity. Buenaventura de Sousa Santos in South America said, what does it mean? We have the right to be equal whenever difference diminishes us. We have the right to be different whenever equality decharacterizes us. This is unity in diversity. So at the moment, this is the shareholder. This is the world we live in. The shareholder value, investor confidence, somehow guides everything. And it's not sustainable. So if we want to really become sharegivers and careholders, we have to change all the frames, World Bank frames, everything. The world system, Howard Richards would say, the world system now is defined and structured by institutions like IMF, World Bank, that built on successes of Roman law. So we have to go back 2,000 years and see how did Roman law evolve, and then we have to undo it to change together as a co-creation, not a revolution, a bloody revolution, and then a new system, and then another bloody revolution. We have to dignifyingly co-create that. I went into South America last year for months, and you will see how it will come. He's on the left. He will come when he feels better. We made a lot of, in here I met through Howard, the father of solidarity economics, and here David Calderoni in Brazil, basic income and solidarity economics, the precariat, and we made all videos. You can see on our website all the videos we made there. And tomorrow we will hear Dan Baron from the Amazon in Brazil talk to us via Skype, if Skype is working here. And we have one branch of our World Dignity University Initiative in the rainforest of Ecuador. We want to elevate the people who know how to live sustainably in the rainforest to become professors in all our World Dignity University. So this is our first. So we all here, we need to think about global institution building, to my view, for co-globalization, for dignism, which means global unity in diversity. It means global subsidiarity. Subsidiarity is an interesting term there. Continuous global revolution and reform. Global appreciative caring, satyagraha, I-though dialogue and partnership. I want to end now. And the first I want to ask you is something administrative. I like to put our pictures on the website of our conference. I would need to know whether I have your permission. This is very important. If anybody doesn't want to be on the website as the picture, then I would need to know that. So this is my first question. And then I have a second question. Normally, after I finish, one or two people come to me and say to me, look, when you said that, you humiliated me. And so I want to apologize preventively if I did that. Because what I say humiliates people, and I don't intend that, and I want to apologize preventively if I have done that. And I would like to thank you very, very much. How about we in our time? We have lunch in half an hour, so we have still half an hour where we can get together and do something. We can also go further in the program. Already see Linda's open space explanation if you want to. So how are your feelings now? Do you want to have some small dialogue now? Or you want to go further in the program? We have still half an hour before we thought, but we can also go earlier to lunch. What are your preferences now?
I would like to go out of this cold room.
Yeah.
The sunlight outside.
What time is lunch? I'm not clear on what.
No, we are, Helena, lunch.
What time's on the program?
We have 12, but this is just, there is no lunch. whenever we go to this cafeteria, there will be lunch for us. We have to buy it.
You know, I'm not clear on the actual timings. I don't.
We can change it.
Well, what's the
We have thought at 12 o'clock.
until?
1 hour and 10 minutes or something. But we can simply do it now. Yes? Okay, so we start lunch now, and so we are back here in about an hour. Is that okay? And I will guard here. I will not go out. I will stay here, so you can leave all your things here. Is that okay?
Some lunch, don't you?
If somebody wants to buy some, I wouldn't be able to eat much. If somebody has a fruit or a salad could bring me, that would be lovely.